Hello everyone and welcome to West Ham Fan TV. We're going to be doing a very special show today, which is a season review. We're going to be going over West Ham's season. We've got a very, very special guest with us, West Ham cult hero. I've got to say that because you are one of my heroes. Jimmy Walker. Jimmy. Thanks for coming on, mate. We're just going to be going over the season as it went. It's a season of two halves, really, isn't it? You know?
It is the proverbial season of two halves, isn't it? It's a game of two halves. Yeah, I mean, I followed it. Obviously, I was working a bit for 8 years with Peterborough coaching, and so you don't get time to see. You go and look at the results after, and always Walsall and West Ham was the first ones I looked for. Obviously, playing there for so long, and so you get to see the results and that, but you find out how it's played after by a bit of Twitter, etc. And a few of the lads who've been to their game on that, but so they was playing some good stuff and winning games and looked like winning every week and fantastic. And then, like you say, it just turned a little, I think.
It was
quite a lot.
Great football at the beginning of the season, wasn't it? I mean, Saka and Valencia.
Everyone was on.
Everyone was on top. Even Song.
You even got off match of the day at the last. You was like sort of halfway. So that's a great sign. Because normally I'm nodding by the time it comes on.
I wasn't scared about playing anyone.
No. Even when City rolled up at the bowling, I thought, well, we'll get something today, and we did.
Must have been a good feeling that. When you're playing, you can feel that anyway. Do you know what I mean? When you're on a roll and that.
I think that was my favourite game of the season. That at the bowling, the atmosphere was electric.
Which on the City?
I've never seen Man City. I mean, even at half time when the players walked off, the whole stadium just stood up and just applauded them off.
Yeah, and when it's like that, I mean, there's no better. I'm not just saying it, obviously, because I mean, turned me into a big fan as well. Like, there's no better ground when it's rocking like that. I always remember, and I'll never forget it till the day I die. Is the playoff semi? And I can remember running out then. Never got over emotional at games. I was more focusing and all that, but that game, I had the hairs on the back of my neck still.
Matt,
talking about it.
Everyone incredible. Said the same thing when he was here. I mean, he scored in that game.
He did as well. We was flying as well. I scored an own goal there as well. I didn't know I was screwed. You weren't know it was one of them off the post. My arse was a bit too big. So.
That semi-final, even for us, that was the best atmosphere I've been going all my life.
So it's not just
to be playing in that game must be amazing.
I remember because you always take the glove bag out and you stand at the side of the guy and you always give a little clap. And give it, come on, eh? But that game, I think I got proper emotional for it.
I did incredible.
Tears in my eyes. I did after the second one when we won as well. That was even better.
Let's go through the season as it went. Wasn't a great start. A couple of lost to Tottenham and then
never good for you.
No, never.
To be fair though, with that Tottenham game, I mean, we was all over them, weren't we? Missed a penalty. I mean, they got a lucky strike at the end. When you look at the starting lineup that day, we had Vazte starting. I think O'Brien started.
Cole.
So it wasn't the proper West Ham team.
Still batting them.
Yeah.
And then obviously we went away to Palace. And I think we shocked everyone by winning. I
was at that game. We played really well.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in Vegas watching that in the bar.
Did you see him
off the pitch?
Huh?
Could you see the game?
Just about.
You weren't doing Vegas right then, was you?
You didn't do it properly. And then another disappointing result to Southampton. But after that, we really pushed on and we really played some good stuff. What was your best moment from the beginning of the season, Scott?
Like same as mine, Man City game. It was just completely something I haven't seen over West Ham for years.
I think that, and I think the Liverpool one as well. Liverpool at home. 2-0 up after 8 minutes.
Yeah. Man City was better.
It's the champions.
Liverpool was good. That was another great game, another great performance. And for Liverpool, you could tell straight off the bat. I know we scored early on, but they didn't want it, Liverpool. And you could tell. When we got to that stage, you beat Liverpool and then you go and beat Man City. Who's got left to fear?
I think you cracked it a bit.
Well, to be fair, I think as the season progressed, you say who you got left to fear. I don't think we feared anyone all season, even when we was playing poor.
No. It's not like you ever got battered or anything, really.
No, definitely.
It was always a close game. It was always, I always saw last minute goals and it was doing my
usually West Ham 1 or 2 games a season we lose 5 or 6-0. But we didn't have that.
You have a little run, even when I think we had runs where you'd lose 2 or 3 on the spin and you get back and you think, oh, here we go, and then you pull something out of the bag and you'd be back on course. But I don't think any I saw was just, was unlucky, really. I know it was a bad run at the end, but
I mean, it was always in touch in games, but it's just, didn't have a go enough.
The turning
in the
point for
second
me
half.
though was Chelsea away, because how we led up, the way we was playing leading up to that game, we were going to Chelsea, and again we shouldn't fear Chelsea, and then we sort of we rolled over.
I think
we
we've
didn't
done
really.
that,
Yeah, we
he
didn't
had
come
the
out.
Arsenal one in mind though, didn't he? The next game,
Yeah,
I think.
but
Was that so? That was Arsenal was at home, wasn't it? After that?
Yeah.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous that is when you do that, and you can't. It's hard to turn it off and turn it on.
Yeah.
Unless you're a top team like your Chelsea's, who's got 35-man squads, you know, and you can bring them in. You don't feel no different.
Does that sort of thing,
keep it on a roll.
as a player, Jim? Does that sort of thing knock the stuffing out of you when the manager sort of got one game in mind and he sends you out there to lose, really, doesn't he?
Well,
And
I mean, you
minimise.
never set out to lose. Do you know what I mean? The manager would never send you out to
No,
lose a
of
game,
course, no, but
you do get a feeling, of course you do. That's the art of managing. You know, you want to look at Mourinho. I mean, Mourinho for me is he's the king, and you can just tell he's on every single game. Listen, it helps when you've got the squad they've got as well. Of course, he does. But I just think it's a dangerous game. I learned a harsh lesson early on, and the goalie coach at the time when I was at Walsall. Just said you cannot turn it on and turn it off. You can't switch it off in training. I think I was having contract talks. I was young and a bit naive, so I didn't try a leg in training. Thought I'd just turn it on in the games and I ended up having a bad time and then came out of the team.
Yeah.
And I learned from then. It's hard to turn it on. It's not like a tap. You've got to, and especially after West Ham, you want to when you're on that role and you've got all the supporters with you. I just keep it going. Imagine if you'd gone Chelsea and give them a right good go.
Yeah.
Even if we lost 4-0 but had a go, I'd have been happy.
And I think I remember the game more or less, and that's it. But I remember it was a bit of a nothing game, wasn't it?
Yeah, just I don't think
Yeah,
we
yeah.
had
Boxing Day, wasn't it? The Chelsea game.
Yeah.
Is that when it was? So,
Yeah.
And at that time, that's the best time of year for football.
That's
I
when
love
you're
it.
playing.
I love it at that
Yeah.
time of year. What a great day to have a game and that. The fans are always on it. It's a fantastic game. So yeah, that was disappointing. So if you're thinking about the next game, and players do feel it. Players do feel. I don't care what you say. It'll rub off on them, and they'll think, well, he's not so bothered. We're not so bothered.
Yeah.
Even if you don't really want to.
Yeah.
But at home, I think we as I said before, we try to give the big boys a game, and the Chelseas, the Arsenals, the Man Uniteds, and all that. Last minutes, all the above. After that Arsenal game, that is when it really started to go downhill.
Yeah.
What were the reasons? What was the problem?
I think the main reason for the second half of the season was the transfer window, not strengthening the team.
Yeah.
Also, a few players had a big. I mean, Song had been amazing up until Christmas, and he went off to the African Nations Cup, come back, and
Then we had the big Sacco affair as well, didn't we?
That's the big point. That with the African nations, when you're signing players, I'd actually look at that because to have you're taking like for 2 months of the season, really. Away for a month and that, or 6 weeks, and then you've got to come back, fit back in, and the team might be doing well or bad, and you've got to slip them straight back in somehow. Yeah. It's difficult. It does. Especially a big player like that. He was. I thought he was a fantastic signing. I must admit, I thought he was a great signing.
A massive coup for the club.
Massive. There were some real good players there, I think, this year. I think that obviously with the results, it showed that, and like you say, I think with a little blip, it's hard.
A massive drop as well, didn't
he was every game I watched early. He was fantastic. So I think if he went off the board a little bit, he was really putting him.
I think maybe with Downing, I think the England thing disheartened him. To be honest,
and rightly so.
Yeah.
So if you don't get in there, of course you want to play for your country. It's the biggest. To me, since you've grown up as a kid, you know what I mean. That's your whole aim, isn't it? You're playing for England, scoring a winning goal if you're an outfield player. Or, he was always trying to save a penalty or something.
Well, it should be
just
now,
playing,
Jim. But sometimes for the bigger players now, that's not the case, is it?
I think. Do you know what? I think it actually is again now.
It is.
I think it is again now. I think there was
a.
And I know there was a definite blip because I was in and around it.
Yeah.
Not so much in the squad myself, but around the players who were. And listen, we all saw what it was like under Goalkeeper. It was very dour and that, and I think it rubbed off on the pitch. And we had some fantastic players there. We should have done so much better than we did.
Yeah.
And that was disheartening for me. And to be around some of the lads who actually didn't want to go, and if you got called up, they'd be down about it. If they didn't get called up, they were quite happy. So to get to that, I was having chats with them, going, seriously. Yeah. And they was explaining it, and when they explained it, you could see it sort of. They know they're not playing. He's got his 11 players, and they're just going to go and they're going to have 10 days away, and it's just going to be like dour for the whole one. No chatting, no laughing, no nothing. It's hard. It's hard. He's playing shirt my bass in it. Fantastic. I've gone a few tables. That's what I thought of it.
we'll touch on England a little bit because we've got quite a few. We've had quite a few consistent performers this year in the West Ham squad, and none of them have got in. Obviously, you've got Cresswell, Jenkinson, Noble. Obviously, Downing got a call up, and then it sort of dropped off for him. Why do you think that is?
I think the fullbacks you mentioned, and rightly so, they should be mentioned.
Yeah,
fantastic. And what a great year Cresswell has been
immense.
Yes,
definitely.
Fantastic, but they're new. They've got to get to that England squad. You've got to go to another level. You've got to prove it over a couple of seasons, and rightly so. But you're saying that you had your clients and that, and they got straight in. So he's a testing one. But I think if they have another good season next year, they will be knocking.
On the door. Yeah.
I mean, Noble's the one for me. He's been fantastic. I know he gets a bit of stick at times, but ever since when I was there, I always remember meeting Alan Pardew at the time, going through the squad, etc., and the plans. What we wanted to do for the year. And he said he had a couple of good young players we really wanted to come through, and one of them was Noble. One was Chrissy Cohen, actually went to Forest, plays at Forest now.
Good player, yeah.
He's a good player, and Nobes was the one who he pinned his out on, and he's not let anyone down.
Things I like about Noble is it's like having a fan on the pitch.
Yeah, it is.
He loves the club.
He does love it. He plays on that as well.
Yeah.
He loves it. No, but he's been fantastic. Great, plays first on the team sheet whenever he's fitting in. So, and a great lad in the change.
Yeah. I was going to say you do know Nobes a little bit. How will he be feeling when he's done everything he's asked of him? He's consistent. He's week in, week out, he's putting in them performances. Some people argue that he's not England class, but England's class has got to have been dropped lately.
That's what I'm saying. Mate, listen, if you was in the heyday and it was Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard, Beckham,
you wouldn't feel good.
Okay, you're an old jazz, you ain't trouble in that team, really. But as it's gone down, you sort of never really been a stable pair, is there? And you think because you might as well just give him a go. You'd love to give him a couple of 3 or 4 games, 3 or 4 caps. Had a go with him and see how he did in there. You know what I mean? With his ability and that.
Yeah.
I think he would have done okay in there.
I think he would have as well.
He would have, but
I think there's always room. I think there's always room. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine, mate.
I think there's always room in an international side for someone who's going to win the ball.
Yeah.
And give it to the.
He's underrated as well. He does a brilliant job for the team, which probably gets more noticed by the players. Than anything, because he's always covering you, etc. But he's got some ability.
I think with Noble, when he was at West Ham, when we had Scott Parker, you didn't really notice him much. But when Parker left, Noble stepped up, and you noticed him more how much work he actually does.
No, he does. He puts a shift in every game, which he should do as a player as well.
Yeah.
For me, that'd be the first port of call, especially in that middle, in the engine sort of thing.
Yeah.
Does he put a shift in? Does he put his foot in? Can he play? I mean, he fits all them. So it would have been nice to see him. I think that he'd probably be. I've not spoken to him about that for a long while, but I think he'd probably feel he's missed the boat a little bit now.
Yeah.
He would love the chance. Of course you would. It's a dream. So
would he go? Do you think he would go off and play for Ireland? I know he qualifies.
I'm not sure actually. I didn't know that.
International football, mate.
Play international football, fantastic, isn't it? Look, Ireland are a force again. Do you know what I mean? So they've got every chance of qualifying. I tell you what. It's a hard one, isn't it? Because if I had to join sort of nationality, I'd say, nah, I'm playing for England. That is it. I'm English through and through. I'm playing for England. But then again, as it went on, you miss out on the boat.
I'm sure I've got a Scottish family.
Yeah, I'm sure there's on up there.
I've got a Mexican cousin.
James played it well.
Exactly, and it's a big decision. I think you got to decide. And that would be. I'm not Irish, but I'm just going to go and play in a World Cup.
Yeah.
So you can't knock that, can you?
Of course.
Everyone want to go and play, wouldn't they?
Especially with the way the qualifying is now. If he went and played for it, they're going to qualify for the Euros.
Imagine if the call comes in for him and they go, no, I'm going to play for England, But then he's getting sort of like Ryan Mason getting called over him. He's got exactly no experience, and people dropping out of the squad, and he's not. He's seeing that he's not the next in line or the one after, and he's sort of thinking, what, Ireland, and then Ireland call, and then they goes no. And then they get to the World Cup and they're playing Argentina, Brazil.
A massive tournament like that.
Yeah, I think it's with Noble as well. He played so many years for the under-21s, captain to tournaments, finals.
Exactly. And
I think if you play so many games in the under-20s, you should be guaranteed a little chance.
Well, you think it'd help? You think it'd help you progress to that, wouldn't you? Because he's done it. He's been there, done it on international stage, albeit younger.
Milner's the most capped under-21 player, and now he's in
But all
he doesn't start, but he's always in the squad.
Terry, Rio, Lampard, they all come through the under-21s.
And you should.
Yeah,
that's got to help you in the fact that you're around that sort of atmosphere, that environment, squad and tournaments. And
of course it does. I mean, the tournaments are massive.
Yeah.
Not many players get to play in them. Do you know?
I know it's Tottenham, but that's a good thing. Why Harry Kane should go with the under-21s for this tournament.
All go. Ross Barkley,
they should all go because next year in the Euros for England,
massively. Yeah, it's massive. If you go that, and you go and win that tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All of a sudden you're going in the bigger one. Thinking,
gives you confidence, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you know exactly how it's going to be. You know how to behave in between it. I mean, lads are pretty clued up nowadays. Anyway, you're not going to go and. So I just think with England's getting the dentist chair and that anymore, which is a shame.
Shame,
I think with the
exactly
with the England
time for
it. I think Royalson in charge is the wrong man for me. I think they need a younger manager. Do you know what I think would be perfect for England? Alan Pardew.
Yeah, I knew he was going to say that.
Pardew would love you saying that as well.
I think you should.
Yeah, I mean it's a hard one. I think they sort of go for experience and grinding, but. It's a massive gulf between the ages and the sort of what goes on in the world, and do you still know about it? And it's a big factor. But you think about it, he has got some young. Yeah. You've got Neville on there. You've got Dave Watson's the goalie coach. So they're young men still. So they can probably interact more with the lads and get that side of things better.
I'm just trying to get you the England goalkeeper.
Put that on that record now. I'm going to build up. I stay on like West Ham, England. Now I'm happy. I'll retire again happy.
When you look at managers, I mean Pardew. Well, I know we're coming off a bit subject here, but I just want to talk about England a little bit. Pardew took over at Palace. They looked dead and buried. We was 4th or 5th. They finished above us in the table. Now that says something, doesn't it, about a manager? The ability to get people.
His stock's high again now. Stock's high. Because I know it was. I mean, he was a good manager. I liked him. Listen, I've got a lot to thank him for. He obviously took me to down the road. Took me to West Ham. Which was amazing. So, and do you know what? But I say to people ask what he was like. I think the first year took a lot out of him. Lost to Palace obviously in the final. That took a lot. I met him a couple of days after that. To talk about going, and he was low at Snakes Bay, and he was getting a bit of grief, and I think because he'd been at Reading and that, he knew his football, he knew every player going Pardew, and I think that took a lot out of him. It took him a bit of time to recover and that, but when he did, by the time he sort of built that momentum and we had a good, he actually got the bullet. That was the best he was as a manager around that time. All right, the results dictated that he weren't.
Well, then my
Icelandics
coming in, they had curbs already lined up for their jobs, so Pardew didn't stand the trade. Don't matter if he won all his games.
And I think if I remember right, at the time the results weren't great either, but you could just sense that
I think
he
his
would
last
turn.
game we lost 4-0 to Bolton or someone like that.
There's a lot going on though.
There was a lot behind the scenes. It was all going off on it. It was. But I mean, then Curbs came in and we'd done unbelievable and stayed up with the Tevez show.
So the form for West Ham, come back to West Ham, that's what we're here for. The form for West Ham after Christmas, it's the second half of the season. I've got the stats here: 19 games, 3 wins, 7 draws, 10 losses. That's bottom of the league, bottom of the it's relegation form. What happened?
But you know what? If you look at the big picture as well, because people ask you about obviously Sam and that, should he go? And it's a massive talking point. Obviously, it's a massive season for us next year and that. But I think if you look at probably if you took that out, that's a big part of it, obviously. But the especially the non-losing ratio, the losses ratio was excellent. I mean, overall, it's really good. So. I mean, obviously it brings it down a lot, but even with it all put together, for his 3-4 years or whatever it was, probably a bit more, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was 4 years, but I'm sure I read somewhere that game for game, I think he's our most consistent manager.
I wouldn't surprise me.
I'm sure his win percentage is the highest we've had for a long time.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. The thing that I got was. I just glanced at it, so I'm not sure, but it was in the losses column. There weren't many. The draws and wins, and it was very even. There weren't a lot of losses, and then that means never took the team down, and you can tell why.
The thing is, we didn't lose too many games in a row. We'd lose one, draw, and then lose, and then win. It won.
I think that's his brand of football as well, isn't it? And listen, it's a results business. I'm all about entertaining and fantastic, but results first and foremost will entertain.
Yeah.
And as long as you get in the results, then if you play well on top of it as well, absolute bonus. But the first thing for me is always it has to be the results, which is a shame on that, because I thought it would have gone the other way actually. So when you get to that certain point, you definitely say if you could push it on, your pressure's a little bit off, so you could sort of have a lot more freedom, and you'd want to go for it, wouldn't you, and really see how high you could get, a bit like Southampton I think did.
I think they. But let's dissect it a little, right? Because obviously you're on Twitter, Jim. You see the things that go on there. West Ham, they are a little bit. I think they're a little bit unrealistic, a little bit harsh on people sometimes. I think Sam's coming for a lot of criticism that he didn't necessarily sort of bring on himself, because if you dissect it down, we get to January, we've got good players coming, a good amount of signings. They all seem to hit the ground running. Was at the time then when the chairman should have went, right, we're fourth. We want to, at least keep to this sort of top half of the table, this sort of European push. Should they have been putting their hand in their pocket 1st of January?
Well, I mean, I think you should. Personally, that's the best time to invest for me, when you're up there and you're on a roll and you add a couple of players to it. You're not people, they'll go along with it. They'll go and you're going to push on. That's your aim. So that is the best time to invest for me. The hardest time to invest is when you're struggling down there and you're trying to bring something right. We've got to start. It looks desperation. When you do it when you're on a roll, I mean, that is definitely by far the best time they should look. A couple of loans, even some big names and a couple of good signings, and then really had a good go for it.
Because let's be fair, right? Sorry, Rod.
Go on.
You give a man a job to do beginning of the season. I'm not professional. I've never been in a professional environment. I don't really know how it works, but I'm sure he would have been set objectives. You give a man a squad, and some money to spend. First half of the season, we're sitting in 4th, 5th come December. What I saw in January, they took people away and then said to him, so he's got less tools to work with, and expect him to do as good a job.
And you know what, that breeds as well, it just says that the players look at it. I don't care what you say, the players will look, and if the manager's not got the full backing, the players will feel that. And as much as you don't want to, you might like the manager, you want to really play for him, it does generally go downhill a little bit. It always does. And I think if they'd have come out and if you think Sam's the man, back him, got some couple of players in, you could have possibly had a right good go. But so it might be a missed trick. But listen,
did he know he was going? Do you think he would have had that discussion around Christmas time?
I don't know if he'd have had the discussion. I really don't, but I do.
I think the owners would have known in there.
I think you knew. I think you knew.
Yeah,
I think they knew.
Maybe they was giving the 6 signs out to him, and they just thought, you know what?
Listen, it's hard because you never know unless you're right behind the scenes. You never know what's quite gone on. There might have been anything.
Maybe they
anything
thought
going on.
Had such good. We're safe. Let him see out the season. We'll see where we can go. Whatever happens.
And the thing is, you look at the
players, and that's when it generally peters out.
The players that left was Zarate, who got brought in by Golden Sullivan, Morrison, who was a bad apple anyway, unfortunately. Who else we get rid of?
Paz
Tay went. He weren't really playing.
No.
Anyone else go out the door? Sure, someone else did.
We loaned that kid out, didn't we? The Emery.
So
Carlton was nearly out the door.
Yeah, Carlton was nearly out the door.
Carlton was in West Bromwich,
isn't it?
Carlton was on his way.
But that was a frustrating thing for the season, is that we didn't then do what Southampton did and just stay there. They finished 8th, I think. In the end, but still, an 8th place finish for us would have been great.
But you know what? When you look at it, I suppose you do look at it. Like I just said before, it results business. Okay, if you're playing okay and you nick that result instead of letting one in the last minute, you keep hold of a 1-0 win. All of a sudden you've got 3 points instead of the 1. You're staying up there. You nick a couple more, and I think there was 5 or 6 of them, weren't there? If I remember, really late on. It must have been late goals against them. Pete anyway, so I can imagine
the Man United one was
Man United, Stoke, Everton. Last week,
so you're chucking 3 or 4 out already. There's 6 or 7 points.
Tottenham
straight away,
twice.
So all of a sudden, you keeps you a bit more momentum anyway. And then if you start losing a couple, you start letting the late goals in, and it does filter. But if the manager's not in the great position with the club, it does filter, and people sort of just come off it a little bit. It's just the way it is. So
Sam did go in the end. I was sad to see him go, but is it the best thing for West Ham.
What is the consensus on that? Because I've spoken to some. It's 50-50, is it?
Yeah.
I'd like to see him get at least another year.
I think he deserved the year in the Olympic Stadium, if I'm being honest.
If what, sorry?
I think he deserved to have a season in the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah.
That guy... Go next season, the season
It's a difficult one, because what would you want to do? Is then his remit again just to keep him up so he can move in the Olympic Stadium for someone else? Because that's a dangerous game.
But I think
if you back him in Jan, saying, right, you're going into the Olympic Stadium with this squad and we're going to add to it...
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you never know where you can go.
They always had this thing with Sam about discussing his contracts when they're up, and I think because there's such backlash against the board from the people. Most of the people go to the games, Jim. They're not happy with the brand of football. They're not happy but they're happy that he's done a good job. I think. I read earlier on for a column that he'd done a similar job at Bolton. He plays a bad brand of football, and Newcastle. Yeah, he didn't really get the chance at Newcastle, but he plays a bad brand of football, and then all of a sudden he sort of gets them settled in the league. Everyone knows the league, and then he starts to bring in the JJ Okochas, the even Campos, real quality players, real exciting players. So
it looked like he'd done that.
I think he was doing it.
He looked like he had. I think going into Christmas looked like that.
A bit of money to build on the squad we had, or maybe get rid of.
But should they have pounced on that in December? We're sitting fourth. Should they have just went? You know what? Let's discuss the contract now. Let's get it signed. Why everyone's sort of behind him? Get it done, and so he knows where he's going.
I think in their head they knew he was
going.
I agree. I think
he did as well.
Yeah.
Why would you want to work? Why would you want to carry on doing the job you've been doing when you know?
You're always fighting against him at the end of it.
And
bang your head against brick.
It always seems like that.
Like I said, it's nice that we've ended on good terms because we might need him next Christmas to keep us up. Come back.
I think we were sweet. It depends where you go. That's the next question.
Yeah, that is the next question. Yeah.
Is it good? I've not read you.
Who is the man to take us forward now?
Well, you'd like to think you're not going backwards. So Sam's a good, proven manager. You don't want to go down that route again because what's the remit? Again, what's the remit?
What's the point? Yeah.
So you want to be talking. I know people are saying, well, you shouldn't be talking about Klopp's and all that. Why not? I think you should.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? Proper manager.
We've got a lot to offer a new manager.
Unbelievable. And listen, what another scenario is you get someone in. You go in the Olympic Stadium, what does it hold? 60, 70,000?
Yeah.
That's right for someone to come in as well. And the people who own the club are clever people as well. They've got West Ham at heart as well, but they're clever, they're business people.
That's it.
They've got to be thinking that. I don't care what you say. They're thinking we get. There's not many clubs in the Prem who's got that sort of gator.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if it's right for a takeover and a load of money smashed at it, who knows what?
And the thing is, I mean, you've obviously.
Well, you never know. Why not? Why not? Man City no different to West Ham.
No.
I was in our position.
You obviously played at West Ham. You know what the fans are like. I mean, our fan base is unbelievable. So for a manager to come in with giving money, stadium, the fan base, we could be in 2 or 3 years a top club.
I think so.
An elite club, top 6 club.
I think that's where you have to be aiming. You have to be aiming to do that. Definitely. Otherwise, what's the point? Like you say, they're clever people. They know this stuff.
Yeah.
They're not daft, and they have to be thinking. I know when they came in, they would have weighed it all up. They've not just done it with the heart, although some of it would have been as well, because they sort of documented the West Ham, through and through sort of thing. But they're business people as well. They're not daft. They know it was in a good position that they could take forward. Now's the time to, for me, if you're on the outside looking in, really take forward, make a statement, get a manager. It's difficult to get it, but if you can. Promise him that. Get some players in, have a right go. All of a sudden, you have another good season. You going into going to the Olympic Stadium. It's a right high, aren't you? If you can go from them.
If we're going by the rumours with Rafa Benitez, he was close to signing for us, but then Madrid come in for him. When you look at Benitez, he's going to go to Madrid. He ain't going to last longer than a year there. He comes to West Ham. He could have a 5-year project.
I'll be honest. I've always read about Madrid, Rafa, that Madrid is his dream. That's
it might be his dream.
He would be as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's
he just didn't fit for me, that one.
No.
I don't know why. Sometimes you feel it just didn't fit for me.
Well, the Madrid fans, they free-flowing football, but he don't seem that sort of manager, does he?
No, it didn't fit. It don't fit for me at Real, but it didn't even fit for me at West Ham.
No.
It just didn't. I don't know why. Listen, he might have come in and been fantastic, and he's a top manager, obviously. But I don't know. There was just something in mind when you're looking at it that didn't sit right. I don't know. I think he should.
He's the type of manager we need, though. I think going with everything that's going on with the club. He's the sort of manager we need. He's got the experience in the Premier League in Europe. True. It's the thing with Bilic.
Yeah.
You know, Bilic is a good manager. What he's done for Croatia, what he's done for Besiktas, but no Premiership experience, and club experience is quite small.
That might be a good thing. Something new. You know, he might try and do things.
It depends who you've got with you as well.
Yeah.
If you've got some people, I think you do. Fresh ideas are great, fantastic, and it gives everyone a new. But you do need to know what you're playing against in the league, etc. Most managers at that level, they know the players. That's a 24/7 job. They know every player at the top level.
If Slaven's coming in, did Redknapp sign you for something?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder whether he'd be interested. No, you're all right. We'll forgive you today. I wonder whether he'd be interested in coming in to sort of give Slaven a hand. You know,
sort of like director of football.
Something.
See, the worrying thing for me with Slaven, right, is I see the same situation with what we had with Zola. Zola come in and he had Steve Clarke. And Steve Clarke worked under Mourinho.
Yeah. Steve Clarke's a world-class coach.
Yeah, and it didn't work. No. And that's what worries me with Bilic, the inexperience of the Premiership. Even if he does have someone now, is it the right fit?
We played some good football under Zola.
Yeah, no, we did, but that's what I'm saying. The results and the way it went, it didn't go how it should have.
But Matty Everton's sat here and he said that Zola had great ideas and
he had no money.
I
mean, I was sort of coming. I knew I was getting to the end of West Ham time then. Do you know what I mean? So I weren't quite far. I think I went out on loan at the time when he first, a month or so after coming in. I'm thinking I wasn't playing. I needed to go and play for my sanity more than anything. In a couple of years, I was desperate to play again. It weren't quite working. I wasn't going to play there. So, but obviously, you speak sort of around the lads now and again, and they loved him. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
really good. Like you said, fresh ideas. Fantastic, but you know sometimes it
just didn't work out.
He didn't get any money, did he? He was like basically doing it on a shoestring, wasn't he?
Yeah.
No, he didn't get any backing at all. Really.
No. So whoever comes in needs to. You have to back them. You have to say, right, this is a 3-4 year project.
Yeah.
We're not going to go stupid with the kitty, but we're gonna earmark this sort of player. What's your thoughts on it? Who do you want to get in? And then see that, and then see if their agenda fits the club's agenda, ties it together, and takes it forward.
I think whoever comes in now has to sort of the two chairmen need to sort of take a step back, because they seem to be involved in a lot of what goes on signings wise, and I think they need to sort of, if they didn't trust Sam, they need to get someone in who they can trust with their money. You know, I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know whether they thought, I don't want to sign enough for Andy Carroll, you know, but it seemed like they was doing a lot of the signings and sort of bringing the players in. Maybe they need to get someone in who they do trust.
But that don't work. That don't work for me.
No,
it don't work. If you need to have the manager you trust.
Yeah,
like you say, it was another point of why you're thinking he is going to go, because you have to trust your man. That's why he's the manager of your club.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, bring him in, back him, and say you're going to bring your players in. Listen, we'll talk about it, but you need to have a good relationship with him.
Yeah, you need to trust him. Yeah, of course.
But they have to have, they have to have trust in him, and what he's doing is the right thing, and that's why it's such a big decision at the minute.
Maybe the Carroll thing knocked the stuffing out of him. I thought,
yeah, he's unlucky though, and he's unlucky, Andy. You know, I feel as well, mate, because when he plays, he's a good player.
One of the other players to play.
Handful. I'd hate to play against him.
Yeah, and that's what I said. When we're going into Europe, he's perfect. Going into Europe.
Yeah, if you listen, it's hard because he's been injured a lot, and that's why you feel for him. But if you can get a good run of games out of him, you've got
a world-class player.
You have got.
That's the unfortunate thing. Leading up to when he got injured this season, he was superb.
Yeah,
he was unplayable.
Unplayable at times, wasn't
he? That's the Andy Carroll we want.
He's just different, isn't he? He's ungainly. He's a big glue.
He's like a throwback old-fashioned footballer, isn't he?
You need that now and again.
Listen, I've seen the geezer, his feet, as high as his ceiling when he jumps in the air. that's why he gets so many injuries.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
And
It's the style of our play.
he's wholehearted as well.
Yeah.
He don't hang about. He don't fear for anything. He'll throw himself in there.
A Man U game, wasn't it? When he basically smashed Vidic and De Gea all over the place. Didn't he?
When he went through De Gea and Evra.
That was assault. So I should have got a few years.
We uploaded a video of that the other day.
Disgusting.
Should have come for that question.
No, I don't know. He got a big away there. I'd have stayed on the line, made a save, and then got a round of applause, thanks.
Let's move on a little bit. We qualified for the Europa League. Is it good or bad? You played in the Europa League, didn't you?
Well, firstly, it's bad because I was supposed to play at the Berlin last Friday in a charity game.
Yeah,
called it off, yeah.
So looking forward to it. I'm not going to lie, and they called it off because obviously they got to treat the pitch earlier and that. So, so firstly, for me, on a personal point, it's bad. But
what do they think you're going to do? We won't run on with a load of cyanide?
no, I think they're treating it, so they probably took it.
Took it up
and done it, and it's got to have a certain time to settle. I would have thought. So I think there's a few disappointed this year. I was a golf day yesterday with I think George Paris. I was speaking to him, and he had a few things going on in the summer. So they've got cancelled, cup finals cancelled.
I think didn't Dean Ashton have one over there as well?
Julian
Dixie away day football
that was
as
it,
well.
There was a
that was it.
6-5 thing going on over there as well.
So there's a few things like that.
What's the
going on.
situation at the end of the season? Can you do that at the end of this season? Do you think?
I'm not sure. I don't know how it works.
Because I know little
what they'd said, because obviously Tony Cotty was organising it, and he'd sort of brought us in on it, which was I was buzzing, to be fair. And he was, I think I asked him that, and he seemed to think it was only this year that you could go on it after. I don't know why.
Because you'd be bloody flats by the time he's gone on your bag.
Might be Sainsbury.
No, because I know little John Joe wanted to play on it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Do you know little John Joe?
Done all the charities for
He's
the
done
Bobby
all
Moore
the charity for the
Foundation.
Bobby Moore. He's a fantastic. We'll tell you about him after. Lovely little boy. So what do you think? Good or bad?
I don't know. I think because it's such a big year, and you're going to have a new manager coming obviously now, and you want to have a good run at the Prem. I don't know if it's such a good thing. I personally, for me, I've obviously been involved in it, and when we got in it that year, it was when Paws were there, and we made a couple of hasty signings just to try and fit in. We didn't have a big enough squad to cover it, and that really cost us. Really cost us. So I think, for me personally, having a free run at the Prem for that year, and you get international breaks, you have a breather, you can have a few days off here and recharge your batteries, and you just go on to the next game, which is 7 days away. I think that would have been the one for me, definitely, especially as you have a new manager bedding his new ideas in and all that. And it would have been great now all of a sudden.
They start on the 2nd of July,
so
it's
all
not a
your
lot of time for the
pre-season
players.
shot. Your weekly is shot. You're playing on a Thursday night. You're getting no days off.
To play the Borat Rovers.
Can you imagine if you lose to like one of those? Because they're horrible places to go and play football. Do you know what I mean? So you could quite easily get turned over, and everyone's calling you clowns and that.
So what about the recovery of some of our players that've been injured? Andy's not going to get a.
And I just don't. And do you want to go down a route of signing 4 or 5, 6 average players just to fill the squad to play in them games? And
is that the time then to bring back our loan players and then give them?
Who you got? Who?
I mean, you got
this?
not great, but you got Maiga to come back. Zarate.
You know what?
I like him.
Front with someone else.
Yeah, you know what?
I liked him. I thought he was decent.
I'll tell you now, if he gets a run in the side with a strike partner like Sacco, I think he'll do very well. I think he was very.
What did happen there with him then? Because I thought I seen bits and I thought
he just got told to hold the ball up.
Yeah.
And he ain't that type of player. That was it. He was chucked up front. And I'm sure he played nearly every pre-season game.
I basically asked him to play the Andy Carroll role, and he ain't Andy Carroll.
Not many are.
And that's what I think. That's my opinion. I think he was badly treated.
Scored like 13 or 14 goals in France this year.
Yeah.
Mind you, I see him in the League Cup games. He was up front with Vaz Tay as a pair, and he was good when he's up there with someone.
I think that's what I did see him in.
He scored the winner at White Hart Lane, didn't he?
That's
That's why he's a legend, mate.
Nice, isn't it? But yeah, so for me, what's the same? Poison chalice. And I know the club are happy with it and tweeted out and have qualified and all that. And it's great to be in it. I I just don't know if this year's
the
quite
time
the right
to
time.
so-
I think I watched a video
Hopefully.
of you on YouTube the other day. Palmero away.
Hero, yeah.
After
Do you know
the
what-
game,
do you know what?
the old scissor kick off the crossbar. The follow-up weren't that good. Just thought the overhead kick,
It's just
mate,
talking
wasn't
about
it?
the overhead kick is unbelievable, wasn't it? I mean, that was that year that we struggled.
Yeah.
We really struggled to come to terms with flying over there, having 2 or 3 days over there to get used to it, and then playing on a Thursday, and then coming back. And
Maybe it was a blessing that we went out to Palmero.
I think it was.
Yeah.
I mean, but it took us a bit of time to recover from it. I think really, and it's
Then
hard.
the
The lads are
season-
always around each other and that. And
The season started bad, and everyone's got their heads down.
that's
you know.
that's the only thing. I don't know, but I mean, Palermo was. I mean. So I mean, we was poor that night as well. I think it was dropped 3-0.
3-0,
I think I was on the bench, so I was sort of hiding like that. Roy's fault. Roy, I told you to play me pods. But so we was in and it was about 1,000 degrees in the change rooms down the bottom, and all the fans were penned in and all that. We've given the clap because you come all that way. It's fantastic support. It was brilliant. So you give them the clap, but I think you're going to get jeered a little bit as well, aren't you? So the lads had gone in the change room, but it was so hot you just couldn't stay in there. And all the lads had gone, "Nah, take that, I ain't going back out there."
Fuck that.
I said, "Come on, I'm baking here." It was ridiculous. So I went out there, and as we got a bit more braver, I was bored, like I was waiting for ages, and I think there was a ball knocking about, so I went, all right, and I think it was my idea. Whenever it's your idea, you lose.
Yeah.
So it's a little two-touch game on a thing, and whoever does it has to go and do an overhead kick in the goal, celebrate with the fans, thinking we'd get absolutely abused. So I did it, not a bad overhead kick.
Yeah.
So I got a good ovation. And I was like, how have you got that? So you see, you've got to save Lampard's penalty on your first game. And then you're sweet.
Was that your first game?
First away game, that was.
Was it?
Yeah, first away game.
We was there.
Yeah, we was behind the
I was
goal
listening
that
to it on the
night.
radio. I thought they scored. It was such a loud cheer. I thought, shit, it's scored. I was, Walker saved it. I was going, just running around.
That was better than winning the cup.
That was amazing. I mean, you can't ask for more, can you? I really enjoyed it because it was a hard time for me as well, because I came in and Pards had said that by Stevie would play that year, and I thought, well, that can't be right. He's give us both a run at it. And but he stuck with it and stuck Stevie, although I did really well for pre-season. And I was hoping to get a nod. I never got it, and played one game in the League Cup before that at the Bowling, and then the next game was Chelsea away. So as you can imagine, like, you've been sat there for 6 weeks, 2 months, desperate for a game. And the next game, Stamford Bridge. So that was great. So that was brilliant. That's what I've been waiting for. Do you know what I mean? I had a great time at Walsall. I wanted to come to West Ham to be playing in games like that, and that's what I'd waited for. So I wanted to, and to be fair, he never played me after that. I think my boots went up the wall a few times, if I'm being honest. But there is a story on that, if I'm on the stories. And if you ever see it, I can say it now.
Go on.
Andy D'Urso was a ref. And if you watch it, I've only said it lately a few times. Well, I think the commentator was Mike Tyner. He sent me a copy of the DVD because I made some few decent saves later. So I thought you might like that. And he left a little note of it saying, just when you're having a look at it, look on this angle we've got from ITV, I think it was on. And he says, just look at Andy D'Urso. I might get him into trouble now. Is he still reffing?
I don't think he is.
We're all right, we'll say it. So, and anyway, I mean, he was held up for about 4 or 5 minutes.
Well, they've got to change off the pitch.
Exactly. I was sort of like that, mate. £2 coins. I've arrived here. I'm a northerner as well. I was like that. So I think that's what saved it with was the coins. It was. So you can see he if you watch. And so I'm watching it back, and I was in fact I thought I'll stand up as long as I can, because if you're waiting that long, you ain't going to place it nicely. You're going to smash it. So I waited and managed to get the block, and obviously all going off in the crowd. And the linesman gives it that one. I moved off my line, and you could just see Andy D'Urso running away, going, "Fuck that!" It was incredible. Honestly, I've got the copy at home. It was incredible. You could, I was sitting up going, "Play on."
Well done, Andy.
That's brilliant. Would you want to do that? It was out by our end as well.
Yeah, I know.
That's right behind. No, it's 6 hours. I think they might have been. Stamford Bridge might have been wrecked there, wouldn't it? The shed end would have been finished.
Somebody said to me today, West Ham are in Europe, good luck to Europe, or something like that.
Yeah.
I do remember playing as it goes.
let's move on. I don't know whether you'd be able to get involved in this. I don't know whether you've seen enough, but player of the season, Scotty,
Criswell.
Yeah, Criswell's my really. Yeah.
Adrian.
Kouyaté. I'm going to say it properly.
You said it right, yeah.
Max abuse, yeah. Kouyaté, because I've been getting dogs abuse on the
we do. Cockney, Kyoto,
yeah.
I would have gone Kyoto.
I
would have said Kyoto.
I would have joined. I'm a bit biased, obviously, but I would have gone.
Adrian, I was going to ask you about Adrian. What do you think? Yeah, what do you think of
I think
Adrian?
he's been superb. He jury was out for me last year. I thought he did okay, but excuse me, and he looked a little erratic at times, if I'm being a bit harsh.
I said that
at times, and I weren't sure a full season how it'd go.
Yeah.
You know, and he was obviously great. He was an excellent goalie, but he sort of coming to his end a little bit, and you're thinking, do they need to go and get someone? And actually went in to train West Ham early. Went down obviously because I was down the coaching route, and I thought I'd go in and just have a look at how the big boys do it again and top up and see if I'm doing it the right way, which I thought I was. And he was in there and exactly what I thought. Very erratic in the training. The other lads are trying to stick things and all that, and making the saves look a bit comfier, and he's parrying it and everything. I was speaking to the goalie coach at the time, Mike Morrison, and he said what you could see. He's a game player.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's you look at him training, and the lads were on him a little bit. Really, they was probably giving him a bit of grief, and it was one of those. But then obviously as the games went on, he was different gear for me. He was brilliant. So and that's. You want it that way. You don't want to be a training player. You don't want to leave it on the training pitch. You'd rather it be the other way. Do your work in your training, get through it. As long as you're a game player, much better. And I think it's proved that
he's a good character as well. Isn't he?
Yeah, seems
he's a fan's favourite. They love him.
He seems a good character. He's consistently an 8 or 9 out of 10 every week, which is a real good level in that league.
Team,
and it's great to have someone like that behind. Definitely.
Going back to when you were saying he was erratic, there was time this year. This is when I think his season. I'm not turned around because he was superb, but there was times when he looked like a disaster. Every time he comes towards us, I was like, please just kick it or something. And then he had that bit at Southampton, didn't he, when he tried to dribble it? Was it dribble it out? Then someone took it off him and he got sent off. And I think after that he's sort of cut that out of his game a little bit. That little bit of showmanship and.
Yeah, I mean sometimes you do need to. That's where you need a good goalie coach. I think just to have a word and say just go back to basics. Yeah, do what you're good at. And he's great at making saves. I think bits I've seen he's got better on the. He's decent on the crosses. He's never going to be the most commanding. I don't think.
Even he saved the other day at Newcastle away when there was 4-on-1.
Yeah, brilliant, unbelievable. Yeah. That didn't get as much credit as it should have. That was a fantastic.
Great. The reading of it was.
If that had been De Gea, would have said exactly. They'd have been talking about.
Listen, I mean, I think De Gea is fantastic, but when you're looking at the level Adrian's been at, he's been as good as him for me, and De Gea's been one of the goalies of the year. So he's got to have been up there.
He's got to be cursing his luck a little bit because that Casillas. I mean, he's been the best in the world for a little while. I know Neuer's come in and he's been he's overtook him, but Casillas is going. He's sort of finishing. He's winding up now.
He's talking of coming over, weren't they, for Arsenal?
I thought he was terrible in the World Cup.
Listen, you can never knock him what he's done in the game.
No,
unbelievable.
World class.
I never really had them. Him and Valdez, and I think if any of the league suited him, and the way it was, it suited him. And listen, you can't knock him. He's won World Cups. He's been captain of World Cup side. He's the king of goalies, really, of everything he's done in the game. But you look at it on the surface, and you think, I'm not overly having you massively. It's one of them. And De Gea's got to be looking at him. Yeah. I mean, I was a mad fan of Reina. I used to think he was. I thought he was a better goalie than both of them for the Spanish, and he was like third, fourth choice.
Didn't get a look in, did he?
Didn't get a look in, but I mean, you couldn't knock it as long as they were winning things. So I think it was lucky. I think it was lucky they was in such a good team as well.
I can't think of many Spanish goalkeepers now. I mean, Reina's winding up his career now, isn't he? Yeah. He's not playing first choice for. I think he's at Madrid, isn't he? No, I don't think he is. Napoli, or maybe.
Yeah, he's something to do with Italian.
Obviously, Casillas. I think Adrian's a bit unlucky in the fact that sort of De Gea's, because he looked shaky last year. De Gea, I think that Carroll went, but I think that really livened him up, to be honest, because since then he seems to have thought, well, he knows what it's all about,
Well, if you can take that, you can take anything.
That was his proper introduction. Wasn't it?
I remember watching him in the crosses, and you could see people actually, it was going back to the old school, and people targeting him and swing it in the goalie. I mean, I had that every week. Swing it in the goalie. I go and swing it on the goalie. See what happens. That was back in the days with less cameras. You give him a little knee and
Layman, he was. If I was a manager watching Layman, I'd have said just crowd the 6-yard box because you used to Rick Payne.
He was swinging everywhere, wasn't
we played at the Emirates, and I think we won. I think Greeny had an absolute worldie. And we were all celebrating going up the tunnel, and I ended up just taking my tape off and sorry. Oh, shit at the back of his head. I didn't mean to. It was one of them. You celebrate going having that. I saw it in my back head. He's turned around. He's a big fella. I just tucked him behind a couple of big lads.
Fucking Jens Lehmann.
Really
crazy.
I think that was my favourite time in games, when you won a game and you come down a tunnel.
There
was some
I bet there was some words. I bet there was some stories.
Especially at Upton Park, because if you've ever been down the tunnel, the steps sort of go down. And there's like a no man's land there, and then up there. So if you're caught on the stairs, you're banging trouble. If you're caught at the bottom, this body's coming at you, so you need to be at the top, sort of thing. Which helped when I was slow, so I was always off a pitch a bit.
Team performance of the season.
Man City.
Man City. Biggest disappointment.
Second half of the season.
Do you know what my biggest story? The FA Cup.
Not having
West Brom 4-0.
Well.
I think we could have gone for the FA Cup this year, and that was a big disappointment, losing 4-0 at West Brom.
When you see Villa in the final,
I mean that could have been us.
They played them, didn't they? West Brom.
Was Lambert in charge?
No, Sherwood took over.
Sherwood took over then,
But I think that's my biggest, and finishing out of the top 10. So being there all season.
I never get that when the managers don't quite go for it as much. I don't know if that's what we're talking about. I don't know if you did go for that and it just didn't happen on the day. But
started using the excuses that players were tired.
The thing is, though, especially after the Everton game, in the FA Cup when we beat them. No disrespect to West Brom, but we could have gone there with our squad. We could have beat them.
Definitely.
Then they got Villa in the next round. That's a winnable game. Semi-final Liverpool. They're not.
Once you get to them rounds, we obviously got to the final. And, the rest of the history still hurts now, but that was an amazing cup run. That was such a good feeling. So I would, if anyone dismissed the FA Cup, I don't deal with that. It's a fantastic.
It's the greatest cup competition in the world.
It's amazing.
People don't know, but the League Cup is still a cup to win.
It's a cup to win. Why would you not want to win? Listen, you forget things at the end of the career. You don't forget going and winning that. You go and win a cup final. You remembering that? I know that. Of course you are. Do you know what I mean? It's all right. We finished 6th in the league that year. You ain't going to remember that.
That's right.
We finished Europe that year. Well done. I'd rather win the League Cup.
Mate, and stay on. Like Premier League's more important. I went, you can't put 8th place or 10th place in trophy case.
You can't. No, I'm totally with that. $1,000,000. And you look back at that, you've got your memories. You've got even with the cup final, as much as it hurt at the end, I've still got all the memories leading up to it and the cup final.
Still can't watch that game.
I can't watch it. I've not forgiven parts for that yet. Not forgive Pars for that yet. Should have played me. That was my game low down.
You'd have saved that.
I'm tipping it. That's my game low down. I told him that after he didn't go down well.
Probably got best time.
But leading up to it was it was a time I just got back, so I did my knee obviously there, and as I'm coming back, it was. I mean, everyone thought I was finished, to be fair, and at times I think I did, but I sort of knuckled down. I had a good 4 months for celebrating the thing because I couldn't do anything. But then after that, at the time, I went to see Johnny Green, who had the sack from Pods because they didn't quite get on. But so he got me. It was a fantastic physio, and I needed to get away from the club and go and see him. And we was in the gym at 6 every morning. I was working with him every day. Got myself in a real good state, and I came back and Pods was going to get someone, or everyone had told someone to get the Pods to get another goal in that year because there was only Shaka at the time. I think Roy was injured. And Stevie Bywater says you need another goal in. Jimmy ain't going to be fit like. And I just went and said, listen, I'll be fit. I'll join you by the start of Feb. Trust me on that. And fair play to Pars again. Like I said, I got a lot of thank you for. He stuck me at my words, and he says, okay, if you're telling me that, Jim, you go for it. So I did, and I played in a few games. Me and Shaq was alternating the games, and that got to play in the Prem, which was always my dream, you know, and it was fantastic. And leading up to the cup final, Shaq would played every round, to be fair, but he'd been excellent. I was massively into Pies head. I'm giving him, you know, he was a big believer in fade pies, and I was playing on it. Going, listen, everyone wrote me off. It's a year to the day, more or less a year to the day. The same venue, you've got to play me. You've got to play. It's written. It's written. It's from up there. It's higher than us again. You can't not do this, Gaffer. And you could see him going, yeah, you're right, Jimmy. You could see. And I was playing well at the time. I'm thinking, I've got a chance here. So I was really digging in and every game. And I think we ended up playing. We played Liverpool. We lost 2-1 at Upton Park. And I can always remember to this day. And Cisse cut in, and I got a touch, and it's just hit the post and gone in. It was one of them I should have really saved. And I think he scored one-on-one later on, and Pies leading up to it on the Thursday before the game pulled us in. I'm like, oh, come on. I was visioning it. He's telling I'm playing.
I'm in the final.
And he pulls in. He's gone. He said, "Do you know what? I can't do it to Shaka, blah blah." And he said, "If you'd have saved me them goals against Liverpool, who are we playing?" I was like, "Thanks for that, Pies." I was lower than a snake's belly walking out. I slid under the door as I came out of there. But
it's going, never mind me saving them. How about sticking them in up the other end?
No pace.
Right, let's finish up here because we're going to have a chat with you after, if that's all right, Jim.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Little 5 minutes. Sum up the season in one word. We asked this to everyone on last Saturday.
One word.
Sexy.
Disappointing.
Disappointing, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say disappointing as well.
Yeah, disappointing.
It's bollocks, I think.
We were trying to be nice about it, but
That's 2 words you said. It's bollocks.
I mean, it's harsh. It's disappointing because he was at such heights at one point. So I think that's where the disappointment comes from. If you maybe said at the start of the season, listen, you're going to finish 10th, 12th.
Oh yeah, you take it all day long.
I've always said this. Last year, I sat there when we were struggling against relegation for a little while until February, March, and I looked at Southampton. They wasn't going up the table. They wasn't coming down. It was 10th, and I think there was such a gap between both. And I was looking at them. I was thinking, I'd kill to be in their position at the minute, And that's where we was, this season. So you can't. I can't say it was disappointing. I would say it was more. I think people over-egged the pudding, as they say at the beginning of the season. They expected more because of the start we had. But
I think I'd say annoying. That'd be I'm changing my word.
Do you know? I'm disappointed that we finished where we did because, as you say, start of the season, they said finish 12, you'll be safe. By you've gone, right. It's just the way we were playing up until January, and then the way the football. I mean, you see, we went games and that, and it was just like watching a completely different side.
Backwards, weren't it? It went backwards from the start of the season. It went backwards. For me.
Oh well, we've always got next season. That's the good thing about it.
It starts in a couple of weeks.
Starting about now, wouldn't it? As it happens. We'll finish it there. We're having a long old chat. Oh bloody hell, it's nearly an hour.
Extenders on them.
We will end it there.
He's got to go and do his tan.
He's got to sort his tan out. Thank you very much for joining us this season. It's been an absolute pleasure trying to entertain you anyway. Thanks for Jimmy for coming along today, going over the season. We'll see you tomorrow, mate.
Nice.
A couple of beers, yeah?
That'll do me.
Yeah, definitely, and follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/West Ham Fan TV, facebook.com/West Ham Fan TV. Got a website that Scotty's sorting out.
Yep.
It is up.
www.westhamfan.tv.
There you go. And
Yes, Scott.
we'll leave it there. We're looking forward to seeing you next season. Come on, you irons.